Yo, what's up guys, my name's Hacky and welcome to the best Pegasus vehicles in GTA Online. We're gonna have a lot of air vehicles in this one. They really should add some better land vehicles for Pegasus because air vehicles just absolutely dominate. First up is one of my favorite fighter jets in the game, which is the B-11. If you like a jet with a nice weapon hybrid, this is the one for you. It has a whole lot of different weapons and some really cool and good ones as well. You could choose between the normal homing missiles to the barrage missiles, which is basically a cluster of several different rockets that you shoot at one whole area, and then it just fires a couple of them at a whole area instead of just one. It definitely seems pretty deadly. And then you have the explosive machine gun, just like you have on the Hydra, for example. I do like to use that one as well a bit. That's what I like most about the B-11, just the variety of different weapons you have to choose from. Sure, it may not be the fastest jet. If you're looking for a very speedy one, I would recommend the P996 laser, but I think the real highlight with this one is the variety of weapons and not the speed of it. And you can choose from even more weapons than just these, so if you're not happy with any of these three, you can change them if you want. If you have yourself a hangar, you can actually customize these aircrafts that we're going to talk about here. The barrage missiles consist of 8 rockets, and then it takes 4 seconds to reload another set of them, which is pretty quick. If it was a 4-second cooldown for just one rocket fire, then it'd be really slow, but since each time it's a set of 8 rockets fired, that's actually kind of quick. It also has the countermeasures to defend itself as well, like the usual flares. It's very nice that it has that defensive ability as well and not only attacking weapons. It handles normally as well. It's maybe a little stiff for some people, but you kind of expect that with most jets. Nothing too crazy about flying it besides it being a little slow compared to other fighter jets. Another great defensive ability is it takes 6 missiles to blow it up, so it can withstand 5 missiles before it actually explodes. Either missiles or just whichever explosions, let's say sticky bombs or something like that. That's a very good amount, and it makes it one of the more armored planes in the game too. Moving on to a helicopter now, which is an absolute classic of a vehicle. We have ourselves the good old Buzzard. This used to be a lot of people's go-to weaponized air vehicle, but not anymore just because we have bigger and better things now in the game. I still wanted to include it on the list just because I mean it's a classic. For the weapons, it has the pretty standard lock-on and lock-off homing missiles, along with a machine gun that I have to say is much worse than the cannon or the explosive machine gun we talked about with a B-11. It's just not nearly as good as the explosive machine gun, plus it takes way longer and it's way harder to kill or blow things up with it. It's very easy to handle the helicopter, and it's really fast for a helicopter, I have to say. Although if you want to get to places the absolute fastest, obviously a plane is going to be faster than a helicopter. It's just common sense. But with a helicopter like the Buzzard, it's easy to take off and land in smaller places. Of course, because you don't need a long runway to land on like with a plane, and it doesn't have the explosive resistance like the B-11 has. It's not really armored or anything, so after one missile it's gonna blow up for you, and either 1 or 2 explosive sniper bullets, I believe. The only upside with the Buzzard on this list is that it's gonna be a bit cheaper than most, if not all of their vehicles. It's gonna cost you 1.75 million. Although if I were you, I would wait until it's on sale. It does go on sale every now and then, so keep an eye out for that. I did want to include a cheaper option on this list for those that don't have millions and millions, and this one is the cheaper option, although it's still a bit expensive at under 2 million. Next up is the Hydra, which I mean Hydra kind of rhymes with hybrid, and I would say this is a hybrid of both a helicopter and a plane in one. It's actually really sick. The Hydra has 2 modes to switch through. One is a hover mode, and it makes it act like a helicopter, so you're hovering around and it's acting like it's a helicopter flying. And then if you hold right D-pad on controller, you switch into plane mode, which makes it automatically fly forward instead of just hovering around. This is a super unique option, and there's almost no other vehicle in the game that has this besides the Avenger, but it's not really a Pegasus vehicle, so it doesn't count. The Hydra is very unique with this option, and I know some people like to mess around with hover mode and then they just have players standing on top of a plane on foot while in hover mode, and then you just try to go high up in the air. It doesn't go well for a lot of people, and eventually they just fly off, but it's definitely a cool challenge to try out with friends. The 3-weapon combo of the Hydra is the lock-on and lock-off homing missiles and the explosive cannon, which is very similar to the explosive machine gun like with the B-11. I look at them as the same thing. I don't think there's much of a difference. And after firing 2 homing homing missiles, there is a small cooldown before you can fire more. For some defense mechanisms, it has the flares as the countermeasures, nothing else really, so not as good as the B11. And it takes 2 missiles to fully blow it up, so it can withstand 1, which is not bad, but as you can tell, it's not the most armored plane there is in the game. And when flying it, I found that it is a little faster than the B11, when it's in plane mode of course, because in hover mode it's not really comparable. Moving on to the laser, which is a very similar looking plane to the Hydra. It looks almost identical actually, but there are some differences between the two that we should probably talk about. One of them, first and foremost, is the speed. The laser is much faster than the Hydra. It is one of the fastest vehicles overall in the game, and the laser is not only much faster than the Hydra, but of course much faster than the B11. The laser is also much less stiff and easy to fly around than the B11, and it feels much more lightweight than the B11 as well. It's just a faster and lighter plane as well. Imagine it like that. Now, what the P996 laser doesn't have compared to the Hydra, first of all, is the hover mode. It does not have the hover mode, so you can't fly it around like a helicopter like with the Hydra. And compared to the B11, it doesn't have the option for the barrage missiles. So it's limited to the same weapons as the Hydra, so lock on and lock off missiles, and then the explosive cannon, which is a very good one. Moving on to a bigger and better version of the Buzzard, if you ask me. It's only because it's a helicopter. That's basically the only comparison it has, really. It's the Akula. Right off the bat, it just looks like a very armored helicopter, unlike the Buzzard, which is just a bit skinnier. The Akula has a ton of different cool features, like off the radar. It has a built-in feature where if you press something, you can go into stealth mode, and then you're just completely off the map. And when in stealth mode, you can't use any of the cool weapons it's got. And trust me, it's got a lot of cool weapons. You could do a carpet bombing, which is basically like just dropping bombs instead of actually launching it. By holding right D-pad, you can open the bay on the bottom of the aircraft, and then you can press A or X to drop one bomb, or just hold A or X to do a whole carpet bombing, which just creates a huge explosion and your whole screen just starts shaking. The Akula can have 4 people inside of it, so you can have fun with it not only by yourself but also with 3 other friends, which is actually really nice. It also has more weapon options you can choose from, like lock on and lock off missiles, the regular machine gun, also the explosive cannon. You can't have all those at once, but you gotta choose 3 of them, so probably the explosive cannon along with the homing missiles, just like we have on some other aircrafts that we talked about. It takes 3 homing missiles to blow it up as well, so some good protection. If you haven't went ahead and subscribed yet, now would be a good time to do so. It takes 2 seconds and it does really help out the channel. Make sure you do that right now. And for some honorable mentions, we have the Alkonost, the Volatile, and the LF-22. Let me know if there's any vehicles that I missed in this video that you think deserve to be on the list. And if you want to check out me ranking the best warstock vehicles in GTA Online, click the video on screen now. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.